Testing? Testing? Okay, excellent. Well, alright, here we are. Apologies for the delay. Well, it's a pleasure. I am Alcanista Buonarroti, il vitiva Kivali Regari Felici. I do beg your pardon for having taken so long to actually start the stream. I was not only preparing, but now YouTube's live control panel has decided to tell me that YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming, as such viewers will experience buffering. But it really doesn't look like it's doing that though, does it? Because hmm, here from what I'm seeing, I am sorry, and like a very much I starting a streamer. So and I have actually checked the statistics of exit, and OBS itself is telling me that there are no missed photograms. And I myself am seeing the and looking at the video feedback right now, and everything is looking good. So I really don't know why YouTube is insisting with this. I mean, OBS itself, it's sending everything, and memory is not being as much of RAM isn't being so much of a problem, I think. So like it is a bit weird,
I like seeing other
not
content
gonna
creators
lie.
go.
I'm going to try and close this
Uh,
extra
Theo was
windows,
playing that time too. It was
and
great.
I'm going to see if it's some weird RAM thing. I am sorry, I know that this is not the best start to the stream, but the error is just not, it's just not leaving. And so I had no idea if the stream will actually look bad or something. It could well be that I might have to says I might have to spend some more time fixing out whatever this issue is about, so I do apologize. Let me shut off the desktop usage here, and while I am checking it, um, I'm sorry. I think this is the second stream that is so incredibly delayed because of the tech difficulties. If I were not in the three words, this wouldn't be an issue. Um, but while I'm taking care of that, I simply wanted to tell you about some stuff that has been going on with the channel. Generally, um, I had felt myself spreading myself a bit too thin, and the thing is that I am also I am I guess doing somewhat okay on YouTube, but the path to monetization on YouTube is much longer than the one on Twitch, and so like that is actually quite a stronger incentive to be on Twitch. But on Twitch, even though there are some streams that I can do, which are video in focus, I kinda also wanted to do streams that are more of unique, more creative. And I guess I can also do those things on Twitch with the just chatting category. But it's a bit okay, excellent. Now YouTube has finally decided that uh, And now it says that the current bitrate is okay. Well, that's that's so that's so silly. YouTube can be so silly sometimes. All right, well, I do apologize for that. Um, it doesn't matter anyways because no one was checking, so it's okay. Okay, now we start. Now we can. We're going to satsu a little for a little moment. No. Okay, this one is a bit more okay. Okay, fine. Okay, this is a bit. This is good. This is okay. We can do this. We can do this. We can buy with this. Yeah. Alright. So having said all of that and having gone through that a little kerfuffle with YouTube, I really cannot believe it. That was so silly. We are here. We are here now. That's what matters. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to just try to talk about 2 points. I'm going to try to make them very brief points, and we'll just go on to the actual stream. I have been tired lately. I have been doing just way too much stuff, and I have been worrying quite a lot about like doing streams with a technological quality that just isn't really all that great. But genuinely, wait, this isn't showing up. Yeah, okay. Let's do more. I'm running out of time. I mean, running out of time. I don't want to get too much into it, but most likely I am going to go back to a somewhat dangerous job that I used to do, and well, it doesn't, as long as I care for it, it's not super dangerous, but I just don't want to. Sorry about that. I want to make sure I have done everything possible that to have done as many of the really important stuff that I want to do before I run out of time, and my hair is speedrun, let's go. But the reason why I'm going back to the job is that I really want to be able to improve the technological quality of the changes a little bit. This microphone kinda does some good stuff, but I am kinda worried that a lot of people are probably dissuaded from from seeing the streams. At least in YouTube, I heard that Twitch is a bit more tolerant of stuff because of what in the first world will be considered bad quality of the microphone, of the videos, of the bitrates, etc., etc. I can't help it. I was born here. Sorry. But I have been thinking, for example, if I do a literature stream, I don't really need to worry too much about how the microphone quality sounds or anything like that. Like, if I do something like that, or if I do something like this, which is a presentation, let's call it a presentation, I guess, React content, or a presentation on how to learn a language, then that's something that doesn't matter as much. It still matters, or at least I assume that it still matters, but at least it's not something that's going to make as many people tune out of the streams as Like, for example, if I want to do a singing stream, I don't think that I sing so beautifully as to as to make people not care about the microphone quality. And also ASMR. I mean, I don't think I am good at ASMR, and I don't know how I feel about doing more spicy kind of ASMR, but it's also something that I think a lot of people maybe they will see a little bit and they go like, oh man, the microphone is awful, and they just leave. Or maybe it's just my brain was speaking really, because I think there's at least a couple likes in some of the videos. But wait, sorry, a moment. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the microphone is working. Excellent. Alright, sorry about that. Anyways, and I think that lost my train of thought for a moment. And I don't want to end up in a situation where I'm no longer able to do this kind of stuff and feel like, oh man, and I wanted to do so many karaoke and SMRs, but because I didn't have the microphone, I didn't really do them as good as I could. In my past life, at least at the start, now I'm a lot more slack. Well, I mean, I am slack because I'm doing this stuff, so like but in my past life, at first, I wanted the audios to be really, really good, like really good. And I did a lot of efforts to make them do as good as I could. But if I don't have a good quality microphone, then that's kind of a limiting thing, right? And it's difficult for people in my country to buy that sort of stuff. I am sorry, I don't know why I am feeling a little vulnerable today. And I guess the risk is worth it if you're chasing for your dreams or something, right? But well, I guess that's the first point. And well, so essentially I am kinda torn up when those two things, because like if I play it a bit safer, then it will take a bit longer to get the microphone, and I can do many creative streams in the meantime. But I also want to really do as karaoke or SMRs, stuff that I can do now before I run out of time, as soon as I possibly can. And like one of the things that would really help with that is to be able to have as much I guess what they call growth as possible, which frankly I am also feeling a bit bad that like after 3 months of doing this stuff, even if I'm doing it like from total zero, I never did a YouTube channel before this really, it is just I don't know if the metrics are where they should be after 3 months. And well, actually it's not 3 months, actually it's 2 months and a half, come to think of it. Regardless, the reason why I worry about numbers in this context is because I simply feel that it feels that I am doing something wrong, and I want to be really serious about this stuff. No, not for now. This one is a bit more emo, and I want to really do it right. Like at least this I want to do right. And so I am like very much like, yeah, I don't know if like how to deal with those things, but the important thing is to take it day by day, I suppose. Yeah. suppose that's the important thing. Alright, I've been saying that. Well, to not end on a negative note, come to think of it, I had been doing this stuff for like 2.5 months, right? And I am honestly thankful to all the people that subscribe to me, like I really, really am. But what I am actually more amazed by actually is that, well, I got over 1,000 views so far in the channel. I think it's actually around 1,500 or something. And like, I think by this point we are up to like 80 watch hours or something like that. So a big number. In 2.5 months, I suppose that's not too bad. I assume that it's not good, but it's not too bad either. Wait, is it going to be 30 minutes and we still haven't gotten to the... Oh no! Oh dear. That's bad. That's really bad. Yeah. Okay. So what is the second point that I wanted to say? Because I wanted to say something actually. I know that, yeah, I wanted to say something, algo, alguna cosa, un objeto de discusión, un tópico de discusión. I can't remember. I guess I'll settle for this one for now. Will probably be once a month, but no, that's not. Okay, so karaoke will probably be once a month, but I will talk about that later actually. I want to say about something positive. I'm studying Japanese and video editing. Yeah. I know that my video editing is kinda not the best, but I do hope that I can improve in the future for the viewers. And I have to, and of course it's an ability that's going to be useful long after I graduate. It's something that I wanted to do for a long time, and to be honest, like knowing how to use video editing, it can be very good. It can be very useful. Like, yeah. Alright, well. But studying Japanese is something that I'm also doing. It can help a lot in VTubing. Well, having said that, that is the perfect segue for us to actually go into the actual purpose of this. Oh boy. See, Agonis, this is why you don't have concussion viewers. Concurrent viewers. Pistas concurrentes. No. Pistas concurrentes. Procedamos a la elección. Wonderful.
Language.
Okay, so I heard that this person is actually some of his videos are a bit questionable, let's just say it like that. But some of his latest videos, for whatever reason, a lot of YouTube has kinda gotten into that. Shall we say it? I guess we can say it like sorta red pill kind of stuff or whatever. It's not something that I am particularly familiar with. And I try to enter my monitor. 2 technical issues in one day. That's actually... That's actually genuinely amazing. Right. I had to restart the system, don't I? Some client error. Alright, well. That's actually genuinely I must say that I'm actually quite amazed. Okay, well, let's just start with the video. Oh, hey, no, wrong, wrong.
It's a pretty cool thing, quite useful.
Yeah, yeah.
I can still remember back when I was a toddler, about 2 years old, learning my first language, English.
But this guy actually, this his past videos used to be really insightful, and he really tended to go very in depth about the topics that he researched, and he was actually very good doing the presentation of these topics in a very engaging and very digestible way. So yeah, what I learned, I think what I learned is this used to be a cool person. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My mom taught me how the order in English is subject, verb, object, and helped me make flashcards so I could memorize vocabulary, and helped me for hours and hours to get the different verb tenses right.
We actually
Fast forward several
in
years.
the academy we actually did some studies somehow on the difference between how babies learn versus how very young kids learn and the way that teenagers and adults learn, because they babies was more for learning the fundamentals of language acquisition, and of course people at different stages of life tend to acquire knowledge, and notice how I'm using that word acquire knowledge in different manners.
And in college I came over to Japan on a foreign exchange program where I would learn another language.
Yeah, you were a
About 2
baby
years
again.
after arriving in the country, I took and passed the highest level of the
Oh.
Japanese language proficiency test.
Oh,
To be fair,
Um,
I did live in the country, but the concepts I'll discuss in this video will be effective even if you don't have access to native speakers.
okay.
Lately, there are all kinds of great resources
lie,
and
that's
techniques
actually
on
amazing.
language learning. In particular, space repetition system-based virtual
Spaced repetition, it tends to be one of the best techniques if you want to memorize something or if you want to commit it to long-term memory. He will talk about it a little bit later, but if your brain thinks that the information you just learned is not too important, then it will gradually go forgetting it in order to make a space for things that it assumes are more relevant. But if you are semi-regularly doing the reinforcement of this information, the brain essentially goes accepting that this information is important for the boss, for you. And so it will gradually go remembering longer and longer until eventually it will be around test 7 or test 15 or something. Um, it will commit it to long-term memory. Uh, Very technically speaking, you can learn more or less anything in this manner. It will not necessarily be the most fast or the most efficient to really remember it, like you have to repeat it lots of times. But it's a way. It's a way that you can use. Um, and the essence of a space repetition is that um, you learn the subject and then you review the subject again. I don't know if necessarily with the same level of intensity or doing it as much total as you did the first time, but the important thing is that you review and that you study well enough that you can confidently understand the basics at the end of the study session. You study it again the next day. Then, like 2 days after, this is purely an example. You can do set your own timelines. You review it again. 3 days after, again. 4 days after, again. I had actually learned a lot, molto italiano, a lot of Italian, in this manner. So I can certify that this is actually a very useful method. I am sorry that I am looking down in some occasions. The the monitor is like, how can everything work so bad? uh, There were technology, you know. All right, uninstall and reinstall.
flashcard programs like Anki are very popular and can be very useful. But is that really the most efficient way to sync language into our brains so it can be used on the fly?
Not necessarily.
After all, how many parents have to give their child a deck of flashcards for review to help their kids reach fluency in their mother tongue? Of course, I was kidding earlier about my experience as a toddler. I learned English through magic, like every other baby. In this video, I'd like to discuss.
And by the way, I don't want to get too much into it because it will distract too much. But people have the concept that babies have language learning superpowers, or that if you learn a language as a baby, then you are learning it with a level of efficiency or ability that you don't have as an adult. And that seems to be pretty much more or less false. Or at least an adult can learn a language as well as a child. I don't know if as well as a baby, because I think there are actually some neurological processes that the brain undergoes during infancy in order to make the child way more apt to acquire its mother language, as well as some very basic life skills. But the idea of that a child, when you're a child, it's like a particularly and unique moment where you will never after that be as efficient in learning a language. That is not the case. That is just not the case. It is all about the proper techniques. Yeah.
Discuss 4 not too often discussed points that I think are important when it comes to language learning. Acquiring language efficiently through context.
Yeah.
2 is maximizing input.
This is actually the key, and these two are actually really important to have, as they can help a lot with vocabulary. With grammar, it can do it through inference and through procedural teaching. We will go into that in another moment. Actually, let me get changed for a moment here. I forgot. Yeah. Okay, that is not very professional for an academic setting, but we're going to stick to it for a moment. It's just that it makes the model more my own, I guess. All right, but input, and he will explain what input is very soon, and language to context, which essentially is meaningful input. He will mention this again later. Are one of the chief. They are gold when it comes to acquiring grammar. Like they grammar. Sorry, they are gold when it comes to acquiring vocabulary. They really help.
3 is practicing your listening and pronunciation at the same time. And 4 is making sure the experience of learning is positive.
Tanashi.
First, allow me to take a moment to demonstrate something. So just listen for now. If you already speak Japanese, it might be harder to get my point, but hopefully you'll still see what I mean.
And when I first saw this clip, it really was like a revelation to me. Yeah. I'm going to try to remain silent during this part of the video, so you can appreciate for yourself. For me, it was like wow, like the floodgates open or something. It was amazing, like genuinely amazing.
ティムを紹介しよう。ティムは猫じゃなくてカエルじゃなくて人だ。人の体はいろんな部分がある。例えば頭、胸、腕、足がある。Okay, so just listening to me, how much Japanese did you learn from this? Maybe 0%. What if I repeated it or spoke slower? Would you learn more Japanese? Most likely not. Let's try it one more time, but pay attention to the screen. ティムを紹介しよう。ティムは猫じゃなくて、カエルじゃなくて、人だ。人の体はいろんな部分がある。例えば、頭、胸、腕、足がある。虫じゃないから目は6つとかじゃなくて2つがある。腕も2つ、足も2つ、耳も2つがある。How about now? Maybe 10%, 20%, or even just one word.
It's amazing, isn't it? This is meaningful input.
This is the simple difference between acquiring language and not. What I'm trying to demonstrate is the concept of comprehensible input. As did second
Okay, fine, you can call it comprehensible input too.
language acquisition scholar Stephen Krashen did in this lecture of his.
Das ist meine Hand. Verstehen Sie das? Hand? In my opinion, we all acquire language the same way. We acquire language in one way when we understand messages, or when we understand what we read.
Yeah.
We call this comprehensible input. We've tried
Okay,
everything
fine,
else.
basically,
We've tried grammar teaching, drills and exercises, computer.
Yeah, the problem with purely grammar or drills is that it just the brain, the student can't really connect it to anything meaningful, and then that is something that the student himself, especially if they're a teenager or a kid, they go it a bit like, why am I going through this? What is the point? Um, in an unconscious level, the brain is also going like, what is the point of this? I don't think this is going to help us to gather blueberries on the African savannah or something. So it's taken us useless. Let's just call it like that. Let's just say it how it is, and discarded by the mind. The mind doesn't pay attention to it.
But the only thing that seems to count is getting messages you understand, comprehensible input. So anything that helps make input comprehensible, pictures, knowledge of the world, realia, etc., helps language acquisition.
Yeah. The most important thing is to have some kind of meaning which you can anchor to the words that you are listening. So, for example, I can tell you, at first, I can tell you, yo soy halconís. And maybe some people without really know have an idea of what I just say there in Spanish. And it is because, well, let's be honest, you already have a very good suspicion that what I said was the Spanish version of I am halconís. Um, and therefore, now you have the context and a clue as to how to, we can call it like this, to decode the the words that I just spoke to you in a foreign language. And you didn't need to know any Spanish, right? No, you didn't. You simply knew the intended meaning of my mind. You knew that I wanted to speak that meaning, uh, in this case, with the words of the Spanish language. And I think that is the main key that I want you to take away from this stream. If you take nothing else from this stream, I want you to take at least that. Essentially, language is, as its very essence, a way to get a sound, a word meaning to what we think in our minds. That on the most fundamental level, that is what language is. And if you can know how to connect that abstract meaning with external elements or with context to the new words from the language that you are acquiring, then that is like a bridge that will open the way to you. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's just I'm looking now at the video studio, and it's a bit funny that like this little kid with highlights on his hair and like a pink coat is giving language lessons like a professor. I should look more like the person on the left, not like. Okay, let's go.
In the 1970s and 80s, Krashen put forward a group of hypotheses about language learning.
Before I forget to mention, no, once we finish this video, we're actually going to watch a couple, at least some bits and pieces of a video of a really good Japanese course that they do an excellent work of doing this meaningful inputting, mostly through visual cues, but also through careful explanation and repetition, of course. Repetition and drilling isn't bad. Nowadays, in modern teaching, or at least in modern language teaching, people don't like repetition a lot, but if it's used properly and if it is used in its proper context, then it can be really useful, like really, really useful.
The first claim of his we'll look at is that there is acquisition and learning, and Krashen says improvement in language ability is only dependent on acquisition and not learning.
Sorry, I see that the
difference between acquisition and learning is tricky, but it's kind of like the difference between getting a joke.
Sorry, I need
only
to
hypotheses about language learning. The first claim of his we'll look at is that there is acquisition and learning, and Krashen says improvement in language ability is only dependent on acquisition and not learning. The difference between acquisition and learning is tricky, but it's kind of like the difference between getting a joke and having someone explain the precise reasons why the joke should be funny. For example, a horse walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Hey, why the long face?" Or a whale walks into a bar and the whale says,
Oh,
If you thought this was funny, you didn't have to consciously work out why it was funny. The processing was done on a subconscious level.
yeah.
In Krashen's book, Principles and Practice in
When you don't have to think about what the person in Japanese or in Italian or Swedish said, you just understand, you just feel comfortable. That's when you know that you had mastered the language. And I want to be very specific with that word mastered. So you don't have to feel bad if you're studying, or even if you have been studying for a couple months or a couple years or whatever, and you don't feel fully confident, because like handling the language with confidence is pretty much you have made it. You have arrived to your destination. And of course, when it comes to the levels of like in Japanese, it will be, I guess, GLPT2 or GLPT-1. Like that is almost a literature kind of mastery in of the language. So it is a good goal to have, but I think I am completely speaking from my pants here. But I think that at GLPT-3 you can already start communicating with people in Japan, for example. Or like for example, if you want to do calls with Japanese VTubers, yeah. All right, let's continue before I embarrass myself further.
second language acquisition, he says acquisition of language is a natural,
Yeah.
intuitive, and subconscious process of which individuals need not be
Yeah,
aware.
we had these three Lanos in the
Similarly,
course too.
you can learn words by having someone tell you. The Japanese intuitive and
And
subconscious process of which individuals need not be aware.
and for a bunch of reasons, I think especially with kids and a little bit with young people too, it's probably advantageous that they are not actually conscious that they are learning, that they are doing acquisition, because then that will actually raise their defenses, so to say, and then they're going like, well, learning, I don't want to have learning, I want to have fun. And like it's not what you need as a teacher, as an educator.
Similarly, you can learn words by having.
But even as an adult, it's important that the process for language learning is something that feels pardon esa mano. Oh dear. Um, Something that just feels intuitive, or that it doesn't feel constrained at all. Something that you almost don't even notice, that it's like a butterfly that you are chasing just purely because it is interesting.
Someone tell you the Japanese word for persimmon is kaki.
Kaki.
On the other hand, what's necessary for acquisition is sufficient comprehensible input.
So that you can intuitively remember to have something to have happened that makes you remember that kaki means persimmon. The monitor is like
Something like this. Ringo o taberu. Ringo o taberu.
right. See, do you see that?
Is sufficient comprehensible input. Something like this.
Sorry, and the monitor is not. It's actually amazing how badly some of the stuff is working today. So I'm gonna have to listen to the stream myself. Alright, everything seems to be going well. Okay, excellent. It does seem that everything is going well here. Okay, perfect. Okay, wonderful, marvelous. Alright, fine. It's good that we are getting more and more used to finding workarounds on the fly at the very least. Technology, man. Technology.
リンゴを食べる。リンゴを食べる。
リンゴを食べる。
So, even though you might not know any of the words I just said, you could comprehend the
Comprehend.
pictures I supplied.
Yeah.
リンゴを食べる。
It's amazing, right? And it's like his example of the joke. You didn't have to think about why that example worked. You just felt that it worked. It just worked. So like ringo, ringo o taberu. Ringo, the apple, o it doesn't matter. Taberu, and then nagai eaten.
So, even though you might
And
not know
wait,
comprehensible
I think it's
input,
Brad Pitt eating the apple.
something like
isn't it?
this. リンゴを食べる。
It is Brad Pitt.
リンゴを食べる。
All right. Well,
So, even though you might not know any of the words I
Brad Pitt はリンゴを食べる。ブラッド・ピットはリンゴを食べました。
just said, you could comprehend the pictures I supplied. And based on that context, you could acquire the meaning of ringo and 食べる。
食べる。はい。
When I provide you with another example, ビールを飲む. You may have deduced something about the Japanese grammar as well.
Yeah, if you are particularly attentive, maybe you pick a little thing, right? What could it be? What could it be? What could it be? What word? And I used to do this a lot with the students because it's okay if you lead the students to a conclusion and you tell them what the result is, but it is 1,000 times more valuable if they are able to reach the conclusion themselves. So, what word is not addressed here in the examples, right? Biru was, right? Because it was beer. And nomu was the action. So, that only leaves us with what? What is left there? Huh? What? What? I promise I am not as silly with my students.
That's right, the verb comes at the end. The point
Okay, well, that's. Oh no, my friend. You set me up. You set me up. No. Oh. Ferdinand. Well, yes, that is also something that we can pick. Yeah, the word order in Japanese is a bit different, but this this word, this grammar particle, connects a subject with the verb. So not a subject, sorry, connects an object with the verb. So biru or ringo. Biru nani? Biru nanda? What? Biru what? Throwing beer? Eating beer? Hopefully not. Biru o nomu. Biru o nomu. And now I will draw you another one. And I will just tell you what this object means. And let's see if you can deduce the meaning of the verb in here. Hongo. Hongo yonde. Well, sorry. I am pretty sure I used that verb actually in the imperative sense, because yonderu, I think it will be the extra, the root of the verb. Or hon wo mieru. Hon wo mieru. And I will tell you, mieru is something you do with your eyes. Yeah. With sorry, here. With your with the pretty eyes. The pretty eyes you have. Yeah, I'm sure your eyes are very beautiful. Green, brown, cyan colored. All guys are beautiful. They are beautiful. Yeah, for sure. So, 本を見える。本を見える。Maybe some of you answered with Oh, did I tell you actually what hon means book? Yeah, hon book. So again, hon wo miere. Hon wo miere. Hon wo miere. Close, 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 close. That's really close. Yeah. I must say, my mama is a really, really wonderful artist. The eyes are really wonderful, actually. uh, so, hongo miere. Hongo miere. Alright, ready? Some of you maybe answered book watching. And maybe some of you replied book seeing. Maybe others of you replied book reading, right? The important thing is that all of you tried, and the important thing is that all of you tried seriously. And hongo mieru is the actual form of to see. And I will confess, part of why I used mieru was because I wasn't too sure what the root verb of yonde, to read, like read this, was. But you had some idea that it was a book and that it had something to do visually. So you were actually able to connect the idea of doing something with your eyes with these different sounds. He will mention what I learned. We'll mention this later in the video, but don't think of the mistaken answers or the other conclusions, the other ideas you have, as an error or that they were a waste, because they were very much not. Those attempts actually are stored in our brain as WEL correctly call it, that massive pattern recognition machine, and they are something that the brain will remember for a future occasion. My apologies. So now you already are starting to have more ideas. So what you will probably hear in your next anime, oh sorry, here. Okay, you will probably hear in your next anime a character use the words yonde and its related words. So yeah. Sorry, I don't remember how to conjugate yonde read in Japanese, but like 見えました mite kudasai or 見えますか that sort of stuff. You will start to have an idea that they have something to do with the word see, and you will gradually, little by little, start getting more and more in tune with Japanese language. Actually, WEL has a video on a person who learned English exclusively to anime, but he did it in a very special way. He wasn't just watching Naruto. Of course, a lot of his video is dedicated to explaining why that guy could do it in that sense, in that way. Okay, let's go.
That's right, the verb comes at the end. The point is, you have this massive pattern recognition device jammed into your head, and when you understand the meaning of the message, your brain will naturally pick out vocabulary and deconstruct grammar patterns based on the context. And this is not something you actively and consciously.
Yeah, and the reason why grammar exercises don't work as easily is because they do it the other way around. So they give you that meaning, but there is no context to anchor that meaning, and so it's like it's all just too abstract for the brain.
Meaning of the message, your brain will naturally pick out vocabulary and deconstruct grammar patterns based on the context. And this is not something you actively and consciously perform.
No.
お会計1678円になります。
いらっしゃいませ。お手続きをしております。しばらくお待ちください。
金あるから。
金ねえ。
This leads me to one of the
Okay, so did you get it? Could you figure out what kane means? I am pretty sure I was only very vaguely familiar, like only heard the word kane a couple times, right, in a previous in some animes. But like
お手
here,
続きをしております。しばらく
there is
お待ち
another reason why it works so well, because there is actually a very direct visual correlation, visual connection between what the person says, or what it shows on the screen, sorry, and what the person says after. And as a side note, that is why I am not a super big fan of like using streamers or VTubers to learn Japanese directly, because oftentimes they're going to be saying stuff that is completely disconnected from what they say on the screen. So like not much of a chance for meaningful impact there.
金あるから
Kanarukura. See?
金ねえ
The stack of bills of money and then Kane yo. That's just too funny, sorry.
This leads me to one of the most helpful things.
And so you know that, yeah, exactly. Kane means money. Kane is money in Japanese. So now it's actually quite cool, isn't it? Because assuming you knew zero Japanese, you only heard some of the words. You could only say like Ohayo gomenasai, John des, etc. And now you learn a couple things. So hito wa aru, hito ga aru. 2つ腕、2つ足, etc., etc., 2つ目, and of course now you know how to say kane. You know kane means money. So you can go out of the streets of Tokyo and say kane kudasai. But it won't work very well. I think the cops are going to tell you that you can say kane kudasai around the streets. Yeah. I will probably recommend against it. Yeah. And and you can also say you know that ringo, biru, and taberu nomu. I will actually tell you how to use something in what we call the third level of Maslow's hierarchy, application level. So object, sorry. You know how to say water in Japanese? Misu. And now I know you can say drink water or to drink water in Japanese, right? I'll just give you a moment. And do not worry if things take you a while to do, even if they feel simple or even if you feel that you should do them quickly, fluently. It's okay if they take a while. Remember that when you are learning a new language, you are like a child in that language. So there is no shame in taking time to do these things, because for you they are very new. So, how about it? How did you do? And remember, the truly important thing is that you are taking the effort to learn a language. Being faster or slower depends on a lot of factors, and many of them tend to be external. But I think it's really amazing that you are taking the effort to learn a new language. More than that, I think wherever you are and whichever person is watching this, I genuinely think that you are an amazing person. You rock. You're the coolest. I always remember that humans within them have something that is wonderful and infinite, and that is something that is always going to be beautiful. Okay, sorry about that. So we already established that nomu is the verb for drinking, right? So to drink water. Yes, exactly. Misu and namu. Very well done. You're amazing. You're the best. Kimi wa saikada yo.
Simply watching television series without English subtitles with focused attention, even though I couldn't understand most of it.
Yeah, that's something that can actually be interesting, and that it can help quite a lot. And personally, this is probably one of the most well-known and most well-established polyglots in the world, by the way, Steve Kaufman. Steve, I don't know, I don't remember his last name is Kaufman actually. Sorry, I am trying to see here. Oh, excellent. Okay, Some of these descriptions are actually really, really good. Does Steve can mention somewhere around here? Sorry, we'll have to see that for later in the stream, I'm afraid. But I am fairly sure that his name is. Here it is. Okay, yeah. Steve Kaufman, Lingo Steve. He knows 25 languages, by the way. He's a big boy. Yeah. Gomenasai, Steve Sensei. Gomen. Le ruego disculpas, maestro.
Today, I want to talk about dictionaries. You can
Well, dictionaries can be somewhat useful, but it is in its proper context. But it is true that they are not the best way of learning a language. Yeah.
look up the word get in the dictionary, and you get 8 or 9 different definitions.
I know context
You
of
can
them.
read that, close the dictionary, and you won't remember much of what was there.
But if you actually face yourself in a situation and where you don't understand a word, and you're watching a movie, for example, and someone suddenly says something, and then if you pull up the dictionary, now your brain is coming with a story to this information. So like there is a specific situation for why the brain feels I need to learn this information. And then when you actually do find the answer that you were looking for, the brain gets that aha moment, and because it lived it to a particular experience, that information automatically becomes much more relevant and much less abstract, mucho menos abstracta, much less abstract, and than it previously was. That's important. That's really important. That makes a massive difference. Like I personally do know of people that could learn a new language in less than a year. Like some people, if they are really committed, they can go from knowing zero English to passing um, let's say Cambridge level B1, um, like in like 3-4 months. Like it that fast, and it's not just because English is a relatively easy language to learn. Such feats had been achieved with other languages too. For example, in the case of what I learned, we got to master Japanese essentially. Like for example, if you want to immigrate to Japan, and that is very difficult, having GLPT in one level, like I think it counts quite a bit to in your favor. So like he mastered Japanese in 2 years, a language that is universally considered super difficult. Which personally I think outside of the kanji level, the kanji system, is not super mega difficult except for some kind of pronunciation rules. But the general idea that people have is that it's super difficult. And also, don't think in terms of languages being difficult or easy. I never care about that stuff. It's just something that will get in your head and will get in your way. So don't do it. No, don't do it.
Before I went to Vietnam, I got this phrase book and dictionary. I came away able to use one word, come on, which means thank you.
Arigato. Come on.
Nothing else stuck. Zero. This
See ya.
was essentially useless.
A bit later on, I tried my hand at plenty of books, but refrained from looking up every word. This is a really simple but important concept. How many new words, phrases, and grammar structures can you feed your brain when you're looking up every word as you read a book?
Yeah, you will. I actually tried that once when I was studying a little bit of Francais, a little bit of French, and yeah, it's a bit clumsy. It can be a bit clumsy. It can work if you are committed to the fact that at the start it's going to be quite a drag, quite as it's going to be a little bit annoying to be looking up a word constantly, but. It's probably more fluent if you do it in the way that WEL does it. And to be entirely honest, WEL has much better achievements at language learning than I do. I'm just gonna say it. And because in that way, your mind is going to naturally store a lot of these words in the background of the mind. So you will not learn them as directly, but it'll be a much more gradual and a much more subtle process.
You take about half an hour to get through one page.
Yeah.
For the same amount of time, A television show can blast you with far more words, phrases, and grammar. A book can too.
And it's not just about the introduction, but what he will mention pretty soon, I'm sure. A television show also connects the words with images, and that's something that's really, really important.
If you're not so trigger happy with the dictionary. And it might not feel like it, but these bits of cloudy information can stick in your head at the subconscious level, just waiting for the right context to reveal their meaning.
Yeah.
Engineering professor Barbara Oakley explains here that we have two modes of thinking, the focused mode and the diffuse mode.
Yeah. This is what we do. Is my cursor showing it? No, it's saying that. But it was at least showing everything.
The focus
right?
mode is where you're racking your brain, trying to use your focused awareness to figure something out, whether it be a math problem
it was at
or
least
what's
showing the
going on in
Sorry,
a
I thought
TV
I
show
had
in a
some
foreign
technical
language.
issues.
The diffuse mode works in the background when you're relaxed and not straining on one thing. You can see the
But
big
no,
picture
sorry,
and
it
make connect
not-
on in the diffuse
Okay,
level, just waiting for the right context to
another
reveal their
learning
meaning.
experience.
Engineering professor Barbara Oakley explains here that we have two modes
But
of
focus
thinking,
mode is
the
essentially
focus
what we're
mode and
doing
the diffuse
every
mode.
day
The
when we
focus
are
mode is where you're
studying, when we
racking your
are
brain, trying to use
learning.
your focused awareness to figure something out, whether it be a math problem or what's going on in a TV show in a foreign language. The diffuse mode works in the background when you're relaxed and not straining on one thing. You can see the big picture and make connections. This is thought to be why so many people get ideas in the shower. You're relaxed, probably not focused on anything in particular, so your
Yeah, the mind
subconscious
can
starts
enter
turning its
that
pattern recognition
meditative
gears
state.
to give you insights your conscious mind couldn't see. You might not have any luck picking up many words or phrases while watching or reading something, but when you go off and do something else, your brain relaxes into the much more flexible diffuse mode and uses its powers of pattern recognition to piece out some meaning from the heaps of language information you were just exposed to.
And of course, it doesn't do this just when it comes to learning language. It does this when it comes to learning anything really, which is part of why it is so important for students to not like cram everything, every study material the night before the test. And incidentally, connected to that, they did find out that students who didn't sleep properly the night before a test, they almost universally did much worse. I don't know if much worse, but they did noticeably worse than students who did actually have a good night's rest. That is why I was doing the zeta joke. Sleep is very important for the diffuse mode. And of course, not just in restoring your health and your body.
Now, I'm not saying the fastest way to become fluent in a language is to never open a dictionary, but you'll want to invest a majority of your time on inputting a bunch of content into your head from media, books, or just paying attention to people around you. Earlier, we saw that according to Krashen, acquisition, but not learning, can trigger an improvement in the language. But it seems deliberate learning can trigger language acquisition, sort of retroactively. For example, let's say you had seen this scene before.
お前俺のケーキ食ったろ
And you knew that
俺のケーキ
just means my cake. But for the life of you, you couldn't figure out what kuttaro means. You were guessing it means steal. Then at some point you learn from a textbook or dictionary that ku is a very casual way to say eat. Then it all clicks.
Aha! Oh, so in that context, what they were meaning, kita.
You realize kutta would be the past tense of this verb.
Yeah, nomimashita, I drank. Tabemashita, I ate. Right? So, esta, shita, ta. Kutta. Ha 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 ha.
And you figure out kuttaro must be the same as kutta daro.
Like a construction, right? Do not, don't. A construction, right? So, kutta daro. Kuttaro. Right. I am sorry. I just love it when I get to do that with a language.
Now you've acquired a new
language
word
I'm learning.
and a new colloquialism, and put all the pieces together to fully understand what this guy was saying.
You had decoded the message. Well done. Yes. Excellently done. ありがとうございます。
お前俺のケーキ食ったろ。
Yeah.
This is the aha moment indicative of new language acquisition.
Yeah.
Similar to a joke, it just happens at the subconscious level.
Yeah. And it's not wrong if you understand it only after thinking it over, or after thinking it consciously. It just indicates that you haven't fully absorbed it. But if you are starting to understand it, at first it's hard to understand even after you think it over. The important thing is that you arrived at the correct answer, at the correct conclusion. And after a few tries, maybe you will be able to understand it after thinking it over, but you know it in a more confident level. And eventually, you will get to the beloved state of just almost subconsciously understanding it. So yeah, it's a process. It's a process.
Another key to this is watching television without English subtitles. A study from Barcelona looking at Spanish speakers trying to learn English found that the worst way to learn was by putting Spanish subtitles on an English movie. This resulted in a 0% improvement in their
God.
English ability. Watching with no subtitles provided a 7% improvement, but watching the show in English with English subtitles provided a 17% improvement.
I imagine a lot of that is because they could connect the sounds of the words with the writings of the words, so they were able to specifically tell where each word started and ended. Um, because, for example, if I ask you to write what I am going to say in a bit, I will speak in Spanish. Um, las distintas palabras, como no estás acostumbrado al español, mi buena amistad, podrían serte un tanto confusas quizás, ¿no? En este momento estoy hablando con cierto nivel de claridad. Sin embargo, si es que fuese a mezclar mis palabras, como mucha gente lo hace en un show de televisión, podría no ser demasiado definido dónde está cada palabra. Bueno, al menos esa es mi opinión. Es una teoría de juegos. Sí, así es. Well, it will be a little bit difficult. Maybe you could have some idea where each word was, but you were not too sure, for example, with some particular words, like how to write a certain word in the language. But if you actually see it accompanied with subtitles, then you have no doubt about where each word begins and ends.
Now you might be thinking, how are you ever going to learn anything if you do all this input without any speaking practice? This is where another part of Krashen's theory comes in.
And this may come as a bit of a surprise to some of you.
Yeah.
Certainly came as a surprise to me. Talking is not practicing.
Well, talking is not practicing understanding. It's still practicing pronunciation.
Means if you want to improve your Spanish, it will not help you to speak Spanish out loud in the car as you drive to work in the morning. I used to think those things help. Now I think they don't.
Well, I must really apologize for disagreeing with such a highly esteemed academic. But at least in my opinion, it's something that can help, and it's a very qualified kind of can. But before continuing, I do have to go to the bathroom for a moment. I do beg your pardon. Alright, we are back online. Fortunately, it does seem that this string is standing a bit longer than I originally thought. So I think that it will be just this video. I am really sorry, and like a very short outro satsu, and that will be it for today, I'm afraid. I do beg your pardon, but I do have some other matters to attend to. Okay, let's continue.
You don't technically have to open your mouth to acquire a language. This was demonstrated in 1962.
And that feels so strange, right?
When E. Lenenberg described the case of a boy who could not speak due to congenital dysarthria. When Lenenberg tested the boy, he found that the child was able to understand spoken English perfectly. With that said, you should open your mouth at some point. Pronunciation is of course very important. But pronunciation is hard. You'll notice some noises in the language you just can't make because you never have before.
You can make at the start. Eventually you will be able to.
That's not true, bro. That's
Voiceless speller stops K sounds. K, okay. And well, I normally call it a glottal stop. Maybe a velar stop is a different thing, but okay. Tool. Attain. You see how attain. Even if you try to make the sound continue, attain, you had to change the T for a D, attain, in order to keep the sound. So letters like K, T, in English that is, K, T, P, they are what is called like a glottal stop. I don't know what a velar stop is, but that is what I know as a glottal stop. And children, very young children, it's not so much a matter of like neurological connection, but like physically, their palates, their mouths are not solidified enough as to be able to effectively do those kind of sounds. Oh, and the cartilages in the larynx too, they are not as solidified.
That's not true, bro.
This brings me to a technique called shadowing. What you do is basically listen to some audio of a native speaker talking, and you just mimic their pronunciation and intonation. Not every word though. Depending on your level, it could be 2 syllables at a time, 3 at a time, or 2 words at a time, and so on.
Shadowing is almost exclusively used for pronunciation, by the way.
Shadowing is generally thought of as an advanced technique you should use to master your intonation and polish up your accent. But even from day one, it can be a super efficient way for improving your pronunciation and at the same time your ability to recognize phonemes in natural language. That is, to hear natural language.
Yeah,
and being able to hear natural language is important, because when people speak naturally, there are certain phrases where their speech gets run together. Like, what are you doing becomes, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing, friend? What are you doing, mate?
Watch how in this scene, Abe Hiroshi turns tokoro ga koyatte into
tokoro ga koyatte.
What? What was that? Jesus. And I thought Marine was fast. And I thought Hosho Marine was fast. Wow.
A 2015 study from Japan looking at 2 groups of English learners, but not learning.
Hey, what are you?
Watch how in this scene, Abe Hiroshi turns tokoro ga koyatte into
tokoro ga koyatte.
A 2015 study from Japan looking at 2 groups of English learners found that indeed, shadowing made statistically significant improvement in phoneme perception for both groups.
Fascinating.
Look in the description for some tips on shadowing so you can get more out of it without frustrating yourself into hating the language. So that's it. 3 main things. Focus on learning from context, load up on input, and get...
This is number 1 is the most important of all. Oh, hey, I forgot. Sorry. Oh, dear.
Plenty of content in the target language. And you can use the same audio source to practice your listening to natural speech and pronunciation.
Second one is important insofar as loading up on the audio, on the amount of audio. But the really important one for learning is the language acquisition and meaningful input. Those are the gold standards. Those are the really important things. And it is also very helpful to maximize input around the piece of language that you already know. Let's say that you are very familiar with cooking language. For example, in Japanese, you know all the terms related to cooking. So like if you are able to maximize input with a show that's about cooking, for example, a TV show about cooking, then you are already starting from a good base. And because you are already very familiar with a lot of the grammar, a lot of the vocabulary, apologies, sorry, um, you will become able then to more intuitively dissect the grammar elements and to be able to get a very pattern recognition kind of understanding of how to function through the sheer amount of times that you are watching the grammar around words, around vocabularies that you already understand, that you already know. And trust me, that's something that really, really, really helps a ton. So if you wonder how do those people that learn a language in like 1 year or less, how they do it, like they do a combination of all this sort of stuff. And by the way, as you go becoming more able, more capable in the abilities that are related, that are connected to all these language learning, to learning a language, by the time you learn your fourth or fifth language, for example, uh, the techniques to learn a language stick with you. So, like, it becomes easier. I guess we can say it like that. It becomes easier to learn. Yeah. It becomes easier to learn a language. Or to be more precise, you had a better toolset, better weaponry to acquire a language with, and therefore it becomes easier in that sense that you had better tools. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I realize this leaves many questions regarding language learning, and that there's tons of useful techniques and approaches for learning a language that I haven't addressed here.
Yeah.
So please leave a comment if you have any questions, and check the description for more information.
Yeah, write a comment like that actually. Do write a comment like that, please.
This video was brought to you by the online community and virtual classroom Skillshare. The thing that I really like about Skillshare is that it has something for everyone. I've recently been keen on maximizing the DHA content of my diet, so naturally, this Skillshare course on fish by Chef Ken Oringer really came in handy. With just a little time investment into learning how to select the freshest fish, I feel like a pro whenever I walk into the seafood section of my grocery store and feel more confident that I'm bringing home good quality, nourishing seafood. If raw fish isn't your thing, there's still thousands more classes in design, marketing, business, and technology.
Yeah, we're going to the
Another course I got a lot of value out of was this one by Gary Vaynerchuk on social media strategy. Like the other classes you'll find on Skillshare, it's professional, organized, and has very clear and actionable points.
That will be for the
An annual premium membership is less than just $10 a month, and it gives you unlimited access to quality classes from experts working in their field. The first 500 people to click my link in the description can get 2 months of Skillshare Premium for free.
Amazing.
After that, it's as low as $10 a month to keep on learning with Skillshare.
Okay, no, and don't, no, not that. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry for the video suggestion. I told you that he went in a bad direction. Why can't you include one about the Japanese learning or something? Okay, I'm sorry about that. Hey, no, don't. All right, very well. What? What are you talking about, friend? Oh, he did a video specifically on Steve Kaufman, huh? Oh, I wanna watch this one. Maybe we can watch it together in another stream. Would you like that? Would that be something that you'd be interested in? I hope so. Okay, Satsus. All right. Oh, okay. I must admit, at the very least, this was a fun stream. At the very least, I enjoyed myself. So, that was good, I guess. And I guess in a way I kinda needed this stream because I was having a lot of doubts about everything that I was doing with the channel. I just feel like I'm not being very good, you know? And sometimes I do kinda think like, what's the point? But sometimes things are just like that. And if anything, I think I should be happy that I'm able to chase a dream, even if it is something so abstract or so unreachable as all this is. At the very least, talking about languages was fun. A lot of the streams actually were a lot of fun. The literature stream was tons of fun for sure. And I'm sure there can be a middle point where we can meet between what the audience finds fun and what I find fun, so that we can both have tons and tons of fun. Yeah. For sure. For sure. I am sorry. I apologize for getting so sentimental all of a sudden. I guess I felt a bit defeated. Sometimes, I guess. Things don't really turn out the way that I thought. But actually, I was a bit surprised when I thought about okay, 3 months and I haven't really done much, and I realized that's technically like a month and a half so far. Sorry, 2 months and a half, right? Yeah, 2 months and a half, because I started on, like, let's say 20 February. And it is now pretty much ending of April, so 2 months and a half. And like the first month was spent pretty much learning. They were not very good streams, let's be honest. And of course I was learning so much about OBS, about filters, about scenes, and like even though it is giving me myself way too much leeway, two things to consider is that I started like from literal zero. I didn't know how to do anything related to streams. The quality of my technology isn't helping, and I was also, and also still am very, very shy. So like, I guess I should try to look up the numbers with all those things in mind. I still feel like a bit of a failure now. But I am able to do the things that I really want, or the things that I believe in. So like, no matter what I end up doing, at least I know that it is something that I love, I guess. There will always be nice things. Yeah, I do want to do the ASMR streams. I do want to. And to be honest, I am pretty willing to do a lot of things that I don't really want to in order to fulfill my dream. Many sort of sacrifices that I am willing to do in order to make this something beautiful for all of you. Okay. So, I mean, that said, the next goal. What could be the next goal for the channel? So I really bought the more creative streams in the future, and studying Japanese and video editing. I already said that I'm actually able to handle more of the multiple stuff that I have going on, but I think concentrated and efficient workflow. Organization, shortcuts. Hey, fue el otro y no te pasa. Yeah, and so with all the stuff that I had been saying about how like I'm running out of time and I want to do a lot of stuff and I feel like I don't have time, I'm constantly feeling like I don't have time nowadays, I had realized that it is absolutely vital for me to be able to do all the goals that I set myself to do in the most efficient manner possible. And a big part of that, those things, for example, to be able to do like a video editing really smoothly, really quickly, to be able to really find where all the files are, to be able to really know how to learn a language in a more efficient manner. So like time is of the essence, and at least I am learning what are the kind of things that like get in the way of effectivity or a more concentrated workflow. What are the things that distract me in the computer, and I am sure that with time, pretty soon, I will be able also to like get into a point or be able to obtain the tools and habits that will make it so that like I am able to do what now takes me 6 hours to do. In the future, they will take me only 3 hours to do, because no one is coming to help me. I have to do it all on my own. I'm alone. I'm really alone. That hurts sometimes, to be honest. Sorry. Well, I guess I am technically not alone, given that I have you guys, right? But I think it's a mistake for me to think that way. More than that, more than anything, I want to be able to do amazing stuff for you. I want to be able to create amazing stuff just because creating amazing stuff is amazing in Excel. Yeah, I guess that's a good answer. Or something, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so sentimental suddenly. Okay. And so if I'm able to be more efficient and more fast, and except for certain things that like maybe I have to do a few less strings away because my voice can't take it, I need to take better care of my voice, then maybe I am actually able to get everything done. I don't know, maybe. I sure hope so, at the very least. I need to think that I can, for sure. And I think that's the next thing that I can really focus on, being able to have a really, really efficient workflow. So let's clean this out, and I do want to leave you with one final thing. This is going to be very. This is with some very Griffith like that. Okay. Everything of myself. I will sacrifice everything of myself. That sounds pretty bad. But what I mean is that I don't want to have it like, oh, because doing this will hurt, even if it is for my dream, I won't do it. So like, whichever it is, pain, discomfort, the only thing I won't do is giving up on the people I love, my family and my mother. My mother has done so much for me after all. But I don't want it to be that like pain, discomfort, boredom, or insecurities or fears, or even what other people tell me. I want to give it absolutely everything I have. Yeah. So I have decided I will risk everything of myself for my dream. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Hey, why did you turn into a terror soundtrack all of us at the end? That isn't helping me. That makes this all sound very cursed. Hey! No! Stop! Yeah, ha ha ha. Okay. Thank you, that's much better. Alright, well, I think that should be it for now. Hey, no, this is a sad track too! Alright, well, fine. Be that way then. I am sure you guys also have a dream that you truly believe in deep down. And I do hope that someday you get the chance to go after it with everything you have. That is the kind of stuff that no matter what happens later on in life, you never regret. That is the only thing that I am sure of. That I am certain of. De lo que estoy certero. Sin ninguna duda. Alright, well, I would like to stay and chat a bit more, but I am really tired. I really have a lot of stuff to do. So I think this track is going to yeah, I'm just gonna have to make it run into the outro. Okay, so this has been Alcanista Wanarati. Arrivederla. A la próxima. How would you say proxima in Italian? I don't know. A la próxima ocasión, mi amici. A la próxima. Nos vemos pronto, estoy segura. Oh, nos vemos el miércoles, de hecho. We will have a lot of fun by then, I am sure. See ya. Bye bye. Matane.